Hey guys, McJeffries here, and welcome back to the McJeffries Network on OpenTTD. Before we really get started again, I just want to go through some comments from this week. Once again, I always put my phone right where I have to lean into my fan in order to actually retrieve it, but there you go. So, I like the way this works actually. I tend to get sort of the same people commenting between videos, so it's almost like it's a one-on-one conversation, but it's open up to everybody. I kind of like that. I think it's pretty cool. But first of all, Gamer of Gold has commented saying, "Are you going to publish your OpenTTD?" I assume you mean the original map, which yes, I have done. It's on my website. If you go to mcjeffries.com/downloads, you'll be able to download the original map. Plus, you'll be able to download all my NewGRFs. There will be a little bit of work needed to get the other map working. First of all, you've got to make sure you have the Lieutenant Joker patch, which is also down in the description. And you also need to make sure that you've got the right GRFs available. So, below my video, in the description, there is a list of all the GRFs that I used in the original map. So if you download the GRF folder, make sure they all link up. Make sure they're all the same. Otherwise, it won't work properly. But it is there, it's available to download. Go nuts, it's all yours. You can do whatever you like with it, within reason, of course. But yeah, it is all yours. So that's that one done. Next we have King. It would be nice to see you use more waypoints when building your routes. I used to use waypoints absolutely everywhere. And I'm just going to start building whilst I'm talking about this actually, because otherwise I won't get anything done. So I used to use waypoints all the time in series that I never actually broadcast, because I used to think waypoints were crucial. As it turns out, they're not actually that important. It depends what you're doing. For example, if you want to distinguish between mainline if you want to distinguish between express lines and non-express lines, you would think you'd need a waypoint in order to do that. But actually, the way that the pathing works with trains now is very different to how it used to be. Let me try and explain this. Again, I'm just doing a little bit of construction work here. This will all become clear in a little bit as to why this is all being done like this. So, let's use this as an example because there are actually trains running on it. The default option is to take the shortest route between the two stops. So, in this case, there is a station right here at Dintfield Valley. Not many passengers waiting here, but there is a station here. So, any train that comes from St. Peter down to Dintfield Valley will obviously take the local line. Now, the semi-fast trains don't stop at Dintfield. Their next stop is several stops down the line. So the quickest way for them to get from St. Peter to their next stop is actually to take the express line, which is why I don't really use that many waypoints on my lines, because that happens. One thing I would like to do in the future is put waypoints where these junctions are to get the train to slow down to a realistic speed to actually use the crossover. That would be cool. And I can just add that into the existing orders. But I'm not really sure what other waypoints I could use that would be necessary. The rest of them would just be unnecessary little add-ons just to make the game perhaps run more smoothly. But every time I need a waypoint, I've used one. Here, for example, I've used waypoints so the right trains go into the right platforms. I will do the same thing for high speed, and I've also got the same thing here to make sure that through trains go into the through platforms and the terminus trains go into the terminus platforms. Apart from that, I have no need for them, so I don't really use them. But if anyone can think of ideas for where I can use waypoints, let me know. By all means, I will try and use them. But I just don't see a real need for them. But that's another comment. And then the last comment. Oh, also, King said it would be nice to use more realistic junctions like Zest Huskies. And as I said in the comment, I really do try to make my junctions as realistic as possible, but I always fail, and I really don't know why. Because they're really not. I mean, they are hard to do. Let me say that. I've just messed that line up. Let me change that a second. I want to go this way. Sorry, I'm trying to do this whilst talking. I tried originally to make my junctions like Zest Huskies, and I thought I'd done a good job of it. And then I went back and looked at it and realised it looked absolutely nothing like it was supposed to. So I didn't do that good a job of it, really, in hindsight. But the idea was definitely there. The idea was there, just the actual practicality behind it wasn't, which is quite frustrating. I've made a real pig's ear of these last two lines. Is there a way? I believe there's a way of maybe not. How do you delete individual lines? Right, is there a way to select the line and you need to press delete? No? That doesn't work. Okay, well I'm just going to have to carry on as I was then. Which was you. So yeah, I would like to go back in the future and refine some of my junctions and make them a little bit more like Zest Huskies. I think that would be a pretty good idea as well. Just so they're not really bad like they currently are. Okay, again I'm just doing this. This will all make sense in a second. Don't worry. I'm not doing much in the way of describing it right now, because as I say, it will make sense very soon as to what the heck it is I'm actually doing here. Hopefully this all works. If it doesn't work, I will be mightily upset. Like that. Okay. That's something I'll come back to in a second. You've obviously seen what I've done, but I'll come back to it and describe it in a little bit more detail in a second. So the final comment was from Michael Taylor. And first thing he asks is about Thameslink and Crossrail. Thameslink is Centrerail, or Centrerail is Thameslink. There are less stations, obviously. Imagine this is London Bridge. Thameslink trains do run through London Bridge. Imagine this is Blackfriars, although there's no terminating trains here. And imagine this is St Pancras. It's kind of that vibe. And in fact, I do describe my stations, but I was sort of doing it off the cuff at the time, so I might have got some of these wrong. So I described it as GSJ is mostly based on Paddington. And I mean, I say that it's true. You know, diesel trains, a little suburban line. You can sort of say this is Heathrow Connect, even though it technically isn't. And then the Metro line, which the Circle Line and the Hammersmith and City Line runs beside Paddington, and then goes into the tunnels. And in one day Crossrail will as well, although Centrerail doesn't run through here, and neither does. Although this Metro line does. You can kind of count that as being a bit like Crossrail, even though it isn't. It's nothing like Crossrail, really. Never mind. Anyway, GSG is St Pancras. And again, you can see why that is. There's no high speed here, but there is the beginning of the Centrerail comes through here. And then you've got these other terminating platforms. We do have express trains come through, just not high speed ones. Gardcity Exchange is Waterloo. I mean, I said imagine this is Blackfriars. This little bit here is technically Blackfriars, although in this case it's Waterloo East. Because you've got Waterloo here, and then imagine this is Old Waterloo International here. And then, what else have we got? Well, in the comment I put spoiler alert, because the episode hadn't actually come out yet, but now I can tell you. St Peter / St Michael, it's an amalgamation of King's Cross and St Pancras, in that you've got two stations right next to each other, high speed connection over here, you've got electric and non-electric, you've got metro coming through, and I've also put London Bridge as well, because there's terminating platforms and through platforms. Again, we'll come back to this little fella in a second. And there's always other elements from other stations too, I said, because that's true. Every station in London you could find in my stations, they're all inspired by London as a whole. London is my local city, it's basically on my doorstep, so I'm there a fair amount. Not as much as I used to be, but I'm there a fair amount. I remember it very well, obviously, so I tend to have quite a good memory when it comes to things like that. And, you know, just in general, London's a cool place, and in terms of transport, it's a very cool place. If you're big on transport and you're looking for inspiration for things like this, London is a very good place to start. You know, there's lots of cool transport links in London. You might see I'm just moving these signals a little bit, like so, and I'm going to pop those there, and I'm going to pop those there, and I will pop some in here as well, although they're probably not going to be used as intended. Michael also said that I should play multiplayer with Zest Husky, and that would be really cool. You know, as you know, we have very similar building styles. The reason I decided to start my series is because of Zest Husky, heavily inspired by him, and he also inspired my building style. So that's why I'm a big fan of his. That's why what I do is very similar to what he does. I don't like to say that I copy him, because I think still there's enough uniqueness in what we both do. But I would definitely like to work with him on a series. I think that'd be really cool. As I say, we have very similar building styles, so when it comes to building joint lines together, I imagine we'd be pretty good at it. If only I could build junctions the way he does. If we do a co-op together, I'll ask him to teach me how to build junctions like he does, because that would be very handy to know. Especially for this series. Be very handy to know. But, I mean, there's lots of people for lots of different games that I would like to do co-ops with. It's either I don't have the balls to ask them, or it just won't happen for whatever reason. Which is a shame, really, but it's also a harsh reality. There are lots of YouTubers out there who love to do co-ops. You know, it's what they do. There are also, unfortunately, lots of YouTubers out there who don't want to do co-ops. I've not experienced anything like that, by the way. It's just something that I've read a lot about is people who've idolized particular YouTubers, and then they've asked them to do a co-op and have basically been slapped down. And I don't want to be like that. If there's someone out there who wants to do a co-op with me, you literally just have to ask. Chances are I'll say yes straight away, unless there's a real valid reason as to why it wouldn't work out. But even then, I'll try and make it work. I'm that type of person. I don't like saying no. Anyway, that's totally irrelevant to the case in point. The point is, would I do a co-op with Zest Husky? The answer is most definitely yes. I think that would be an amazing idea. Really, really cool idea. So if you're watching, Zest, get in touch. If you are watching also, I'm extremely flattered and honoured, because as I say, you are the inspiration behind this series. Right, let's build this bridge, shall we? Now this looks like a prime spot for a suspension bridge. Look at that. Now that looks cool. Suspension bridges, if you put them in the right spot, look amazing. And that looks amazing. What if I go for the other type? For speed limit's sake, I'm going to go for this type. Just because it will look slightly more realistic. Right, now at this point, we're going to be going into tunnels. My good friend, tunnels. Oh, how I worship thee. Used to hate doing tunnels, as you all know. Lots of people used to ask me why I didn't put my tracks in tunnels, and I used to sometimes bluntly, most times normally answer that it's because you can't build signals in tunnels. Now you can build signals in tunnels. It's a fantastic idea, and I do it all the time. You know? All it took was for someone to actually say, let's make a script that allows you to put signals in tunnels. And then all it took was Lieutenant Joker to say, that's a nice script, I'm going to put it in a patch. And then suddenly the whole game becomes different and much easier to play. And Baptiste, if you're watching, you're not going to like what I'm about to do. There we go. As you can see, the station site was originally meant to be slightly further over to the left, but if I do this, it gives me a better angle of attack coming through here. Just had a thought. If I do that, and then lower all this down, then eventually, when I start looking at expanding other cities, I'll be able to bridge over that. That'd be pretty cool. Right, so you know what this line is. We planned out this line yesterday. This is the line that's going to link up Fort Hampton with GSP. Sorry, GSMI. GSMI, not GSP. Well, it's technically GSP/MI. They are the same station, although I will refer to them as two separate stations for the majority of this series now, because that's how they are going to be classified, as two separate stations that are right next to each other. Like King's Cross and St Pancras are two different terminus stations, but their tube station is King's Cross St Pancras. They combined it because it was easier, basically. And because, I mean, they are right next to each other, the stations. If you go to King's Cross and you go to the underground, you go down the stairs inside the new concourse, you turn left, walk about 20 meters, 30 meters, and then go back up and you're in St Pancras. That's how close together they are. It's a 5-minute walk to transfer trains. So, you know, they talk about rivals back in Victorian times building their separate lines very close to each other. That's a very good example. King's Cross, I believe, was built first as well, so St Pancras actually came after. They stomped on their turf. To be quite frank about it, they came in and they took their territory. Let's hope they didn't do it in the same way that dogs and cats do, because that's a bit. Ugh. But yeah, they claim their territory as their own. But yeah, I've replicated that with GSP/MI. That's exactly what the design was always going to be. Right, I'm just doing some prep work here because I wanna start the station at this end to make sure that I don't miss anything crucial further down the way. I also want to do a little bit more landscaping. Let's lift that up first of all. If I do that. And again, those then should be on the same level, so I should be able to put some more nice bridges in. I think I might just go for the bog standard viaduct for these. Yeah, that looks pretty cool. And here we have our little metro connection. As I say, this is like a connecting line. This is like what HubLink was on my Cities in Motion series. It's designed to link up lots of different lines. Not necessarily to take traffic away from them. It's more the case of assisting with them. Helping with congestion, really. And I realise I did all this landscaping here for nothing, so I'm just sort of going to try and subtly put it back, although I'm not doing a very good job. I'm not very good when it comes to subtlety, as again, eagle-eyed viewers would have probably noticed that by now. I am a highly destructive builder. I tend to bulldoze first, ask questions later. I try and be a little bit more careful sometimes, but it doesn't always work that way. Doesn't always work that way. Right, so I'm going to put those there like that. This is then going to come along here like this. Now I wanted a station here at Ruding Hall as well, but I just can't find a way of getting the track into Suntbridge if I do that, so I'm going to have to miss that one out. As I mentioned last episode, this is part of, it's not the metro network, but it's that kind of, it's part of the Gardcity rapid transit system. So it's not metro. It's not metro. I don't want people to get confused there. It is not metro, but it's that type of thing. It's like how Thameslink and Crossrail are going to be viewed. They are their own lines, but they do also work as inner city rapid transit. And that's basically what this is going to be. You know, we're going to have EMUs running through the countryside, linking up all these towns and cities, transporting loads of passengers. And doing a bloody good job of it too, I hope. Right. And I love it when the natural landscape plays into my hands. So like here, we have this really cool shelf to run the track along. I love it when that comes together. It always gives me a good feeling. Not much destruction needed, just the odd little hill needs flattening like I did there. But overall, not a lot needs doing. Now you have noticed that I did do all of that planning at the start of the episode towards Dartbourne, and yes, this line is going to end up heading off towards Dartbourne as well. It's going to end up, there will be services that terminate at GSMI coming from Fort Hampton. Likewise, there will be services from Dartbourne that will terminate at another station that I haven't built yet. But there will also be through stations, and this is very much, it falls under the category of what Thameslink trains do, but I'm considering it more as a Crossrail type thing, because Crossrail will have trains terminating at Liverpool Street and Paddington. Likewise, this will have trains terminating at GSMI and New Station. But it also works in the case of Thameslink, where you've got like the Bedford to Brighton route. Not every train that leaves Bedford goes to Brighton, and not every train that leaves Brighton goes to Bedford. On the Thameslink services, this is. Obviously, there are other network or no, other operators, should we say, that that use that line, and obviously they won't go there. But it's just as I say, it's about getting more people moving through the city itself, because we've got these big termini stations around the outside of the city, just like London. And we don't have much in a way of a transport network that runs from one side of the city to the other. We do have transport networks that run through the city, such as the tram and the metro, but they don't run fully right through the city and out the other side. They do terminate still within city limits. Centre Rail is the only one that runs through, and that runs north to south and does a good job of it. But we do need ones that run sort of... This does run from east to west, or west to east, depending on which way you're travelling. So it was always going to happen that we were going to end up doing that. And once again, I don't know whether there's some psychic people out there. Personally, I don't believe in psychic. I think it's a load of hooey. But it's always creepy when people ask me a question that's directly related to something that I've actually already planned on doing. It's almost like you know what's coming up, which is good. And to be honest, in future, if people comment on something and I don't respond to it, it's because you've already basically hit the nail on the head. So let's say Michael Taylor had commented asking about Crossrail Thameslink and I didn't respond to that comment. That would have been directly because I'm doing it now. So it's almost like, you know, wait 5 minutes and you'll see if you're right, knowing full well that you're right. It's that kind of thing. So hitting the nail on the head, definitely. Knowing full well. Well, no, you didn't know full well. That's not the right phrase at all. You hit the nail on the head. This thing is a reality. What you requested is actually being built now. And not only that, I just want to make this clear. It's not like I suddenly decided I wanted to do it because someone commented on it. This was going to be today's episode, regardless of whether someone asked me to do it or not. As you know, at the end of the last episode, I actually said, I should state actually now, to make this even more clear, I am recording this episode Monday. So, Monday's episode, what time is it now? It's just gone midnight. So Monday's episode is live, as you know. Goes live at 8 PM every weekday. So 4 hours ago the video went live and I received that comment. But I already knew since when? Saturday? I think it was. Sunday? Was it? No. Yeah, Sunday. I knew since Sunday that I was going to be doing... No. Saturday. Yeah, sorry, Saturday. When I recorded yesterday's episode. So, when I recorded Thursday's episode, I knew that today's episode would be this line. But I still find it funny, almost, that the comment gets raised, yes, on the same day that I'm building it, but a couple of days after I already planned it. I'm doing a really bad job of explaining this. It's because I'm building at the same time. As you know, as you all know, I cannot build and talk at the same time. It's physically impossible. I try so often and fail so often. But I do try. Anyway, with this line is going to open in stages. So the first stage will be GSMI to Fort Hampton. And then on Monday, or maybe after Monday actually, at some point next week we will do stage 2, which will be somewhere within Gardcity to Dartbourne. Again, I'm doing more destruction. We're going to have 2 stations rather close together. or one station. Let's have one station that links up both towns. Why not? How far away is Fort Hampton, by the way? Oh man, there's Marfingley Market, so it's still quite a distance. Oh boy. This is going to be a long line. As you know, it's going to be a long line. We're going to have lots of trains running on this line. It's totally separated from the rest of the network, so we can just flood it with as many trains as we like, pretty much. And as long as they don't get in each other's way, we can just have a train running every 200 ticks, 300 ticks, something like that. I've got hiccups. Again, as soon as I press record, something always goes wrong with me. Like hiccups, or my voice goes, or just something like that. And it's always something really stupid and avoidable, but it happens. C'est la vie, I suppose. Right, let's get some nice bridges in again. Let's see, what should we have this time? Modern suspension, because it's a nice long bridge. Speed limits here again don't really mean much, and look at that. It's like I planned it. It lines up perfectly. It's pretty cool. And then we have a nice little station here at Mendhead as well. Then we have to start turning this way because the main line is just there. We're gonna have a station at Chunville, which I believe I mentioned that already in yesterday's episode. It's just to remind myself more than anything. And then we'll go to that big town, which I can't remember the name of, but I will tell you in a second once I've built this little bit of track. Now the depot for this line, I'm not 100% sure where to build it, to be honest. Not 100% sure, because I do want it to tie in with that idea that we have of a vehicle factory somewhere in the country. Because I do really like that idea. I think it's one of the best ideas in the series. The problem is, I'm still very much debating where would be the best location for that factory. Because as you know, I'm very much of the ideology now that if I'm going to do something, I want to do it right first time. It's a good way to live life, really. You want to get things right as soon as possible. Not so much a perfectionist attitude, as my speech could tell you, but it's more of a not wanting to have to do it again type attitude. And that is very prominent with me. Once I've done something, very rarely do I want to go and do it again. I'm very lazy when it comes to that sort of thing. So if there's ever a way to avoid that, I will take it. So with this, for example, very much want to avoid having to do it twice. Very much want to have to avoid building a train factory twice. Very much want to avoid having to rebuild this line if I make any mistakes. It's that kind of attitude that I have. It also means that you get the best the first time round. So you're not having to watch me rebuild something because I messed it up. So it makes the videos better, and it makes me feel better about the videos and about the network in general, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, I was going to build a connection down here, wasn't I? I might build a new spur line that comes off and does that, actually. Like a second... I don't know, because I kind of like the idea of having this line come through the town like this. I think it's almost like... I mean, I'm destroying river, which does cost a lot of money, but it's almost like it was planned. Like, when the map was generated, the game thought, oh, he's going to build a line through here one day, let's make it easy for him. Again, I'm destroying industry. All this industry that I'm destroying, I will end up having to rebuild one day. I'm just glad that it's not today. Funding your own industry is actually... it has its benefits. It means you can put them where you want them, and you're not trying to squeeze lines round existing lines or whatever to make them go to where you want them. And again, that's quite reflective of real life. You know, coal seams are found. They're not built, they are found. But then the mine itself, the actual mine buildings, etc., are built where it's easy to actually access them. Even if you then have to go underground and walk a mile to get to the coal face. And eventually you will have to do that, of course, as you mine it out. So, being able to pop down the industries where I want them, not necessarily a bad thing. In terms of realism, pretty pretty decent thing. It means I can put them in good spots out in the country, so I'm not having to wrap around towns like I was on the last map. Again, the whole reason that map is now redundant to me is because the towns were just way too big. Way too big. Totally unmanageable. At the moment, Gardcity is huge, but it's all managed. Every single one of those towns is managed. And it's the fact that it is a combination of lots of little towns that makes that one big town. Or that one big city in this case. Whereas on the old map, it was just one big town. Guardtown was one big town. And it was, as you know, unmanageable. And all the ones, even the ones that didn't have rail connections, were huge. Because I did the how many towns grow into cities thing, not realising just how damaging that would actually be to the game. But there you go. That's what it does, unfortunately. But we fixed that now. We're on a new map. I've learned from that mistake. People in the comments told me about that mistake, which is how I learned from that mistake. So once again, I owe you guys a solid, because the advice, good advice, simple as that. Someone advised me that, I think it was Lieutenant Joker actually, advised me about the setting. And I turned down the setting, fixed the problem, thought, okay, that won't work on this game now, so I'll have to start a new one. But here we are. Changed as many settings as possible to make the game run smoother. And yeah, it is running a lot smoother, and I'm very happy with it. So I chalk that down as a learning curve. I wouldn't say it was a mistake at all, because it was a very good map, and I had a good time playing on it. And just unfortunately, the town sizes became too big for me to use all of my ideas. And I've just heard my phone go. You might have heard that as well, my tablet and my phone. And they go twice in succession, which normally means someone has commented on the video. So again, you get your comment read out on a video, which is cool. And it's from James Moton. Will you do the following? A. Raise and maintain the local authority ratings at very good or better, green on the towns list. B. Trying to resolve all unprofitable vehicles so I don't get the unprofitable vehicle news messages in the videos. C. Try to raise and maintain the station ratings at very good or better. If this is a reference to the previous map, I'm not making any changes to it. It's how I left it. So if you are having trouble with the local authority, you will either have to bribe them or plant trees. I can advise you on how to get them to like you, but I can't do it for you because I don't have the time, really. Anyone who wants me to do any adjustments on the old map, I'm afraid I will have to say no to that because I just don't have the time. This is the map I am working on now. This is the only map on the game that I play on. I don't have any off-camera work or anything like that on any other maps. This is the only map that I play on. So if you do have any problems with that, you can let me know and I'll try and do my best to help you through it, but I can't do it for you. It's as simple as that, I'm afraid. That's just the way it has to be, because I can't. If I started helping people out, then I will just end up with no time at all. And I'm pretty sure you would prefer me to carry on making videos. I've gauged most people's reactions, and it seems to be quite positive. You like me doing this series. So, as I say, if you're asking me about that map, I can't help you. I can help you, I can't do it for you. But that has just told me that what that red means, that towns don't like me. Which I find quite funny actually, because most of the towns that are red on here, I managed to build in still. Maybe it's just I do something to make them like me again when... I don't know. But there's a good example. James, I will reply to your comment in a second. Obviously, you would have already seen this by the time this video goes live. But I won't give you an actual answer. I will just recommend that you watch this episode. But you know that. As I say, hopefully you're watching this episode, so you know that anyway. Right. Do you want me to do that though, guys? You know, I record quite late at night, so I'm a little bit surprised still that people comment at this time of night. But do you want me to read out comments live on videos, or do you prefer it if I don't? There are people out there who might not want their comments read out. If so, then let me know, because I don't want to sort of drop you in it or anything like that. But if you want me to do these live readouts, then yeah, I'm happy to do it, as you can tell, because I'm already doing it. That doesn't work. I was hoping to have a nice little... There's another industry there. Get rid of that. I'll have to do some landscaping here then. Oh, it's ugly. But once I've finished recording this, I will drop that comment just to... I have to remind myself, but yeah. That kind of question, I'm not a fan of, personally. I don't like it when people are too demanding in comments, if that makes sense. Like, that one, I know this was not how you meant it. I'm sure this is not how you meant it, but it is almost like you're saying there's a problem, fix it now type thing. And as you know, I can't do that. You know, if your boss came into your office and said, do this now, chances are you'd probably have no option but to do it. But you wouldn't be happy at it, certainly. And if you didn't have the time to do it, then you can't do it, can you? And I just don't have the time. You know, I'm currently in the process of preparing to go back to university. And this year just gone was quite a... not a wake-up call, but I spent a lot of time working on assignments and projects. This year is going to be even more so, doing all that kind of thing, which means that my upload schedule might have to change, but the amount of time I will have when I'm off camera will be dramatically shorter. So again, I just will not have the time to adjust maps and things like that. I might even have to get someone in. Once I start my servers, I might have to get someone in to help me run them, because I just won't have the time to do it myself. I'm really planning on throwing myself into university work this year. As I mentioned in my live stream, not last week but the week before, I'm hoping, and this might not happen, so I don't want to say too much about it right now, but I am hoping to get an internship in America next year, which will mean that I'll obviously need a really good CV. So I'll be doing a lot of work to make my CV look as good as possible, which will mean I'll have less time for recording, less time for live streaming, less time in general, really. But it should be worth it. And then once that's all done and out of the way, then I'll be able to continue as normal, or as close to normal as possible by then. Because, as I say, there might even be a year where I'm having to upload videos from America, which for me would be fantastic. Obviously, I'm scared as anything about going there, because I've never been to America before. Actually, scared is the wrong word. I'm anxious about going. Because as I say, I've never been to America before. Don't really know what it's like over there. I've heard from people who have gone over there, and they all say it's great, it's a fantastic country, and that's the side of it that I'm going with. You know, it's a great place to go, it's a great place to learn. The company that I want to work for, I did name them in the live stream, but I'm not going to say them again in case... I mean, I can't imagine it would jeopardize anything, but, you know, best to play it safe. But it's going to be a really good opportunity. But I want to bring you guys with me, because the only reason I would want to do any of this in the first place is because of the fantastic support that I've had from my audience, you people. So if I go to America, you'll be coming with me. I might even end up doing vlogs and stuff from there, just to show you guys what it's actually like, and just so you're part of the journey. Really, can't say fairer than that. Right, let's go back to building. I'm going to pop these signals 6 apart, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, just so that I've got lots of room to build stations. So I'm going to build these stations backwards, and I might just go for the island platforms again, because they are very nice and easy. Or, thinking about it, people want me to shake up what types of platforms I use, and I'm with you on that. I am with you on that. So I might go for... Man, I am very popular in the old comments today. That's Michael Taylor asking me if I'm going to ask Zest Husky. I've kind of answered that question already. I don't think I'm capable of asking. Again, people might not realise this, but I'm a very shy person. I might sound loud, and I might sound like the life of the party type thing, or at least that's what I feel like. I try and give off that vibe, but really I'm not. I'm a very, very shy, quiet person in reality. I don't like talking to people that I don't know. Just try and avoid it whenever I can, to be perfectly honest. So there are times like now where I would prefer it if someone wants to collaborate with me if they came to me. Obviously that's very big-headed. It sounds big-headed. It sounds like I'm saying, oh well, I'll only work with them if they come to me type thing. But it's not. That's not what I mean at all. What I mean is I struggle to make contact with people. I prefer it when they make contact with me. It's just, as I say, it's a shyness, anxiety thing. It's something that I'm addressing, but it's still prevalent right now. It's there. It's present. So, you know, I'm not against the idea. As I've said, I am not against the idea. It's just the actual creating it. Oh my goodness, loads of people commenting. I like this. I'm not complaining. It's just, wow. James Morton asking, do I have cheats enabled? If I press Control-Alt-C, that is the only cheat I use, is the Magic Bulldozer. It just makes life easier. For those of you who watch Zest Husky, you'll see that he has the Magic Bulldozer enabled as well. It's not cheating per se. What it means is we can just demolish industries that are in the way, or pylons that are in the way, or if we're having to demolish half a town, we don't have to worry about the local authority hating us. That's the only reason why I have it switched on, and I'm pretty sure that's the only reason why Zest has it switched on as well. It's a convenience thing rather than an actual cheat. Obviously, at the start of the game, I gave myself money. I gave myself what's the word I'm looking for? An advance. That's the one. I gave myself an advance so that I can actually build the first bits of a network. And then, since then, I haven't invested at all. All of the money you see that I have now has been earned by my vehicles. But before that, it was totally... it's like an investment. That's exactly what it was. It was an investment. When train companies start up for the first time, they don't grow money on trees. You know, it's got to come from somewhere. And where it comes from normally is an investor. They'll go to a group or a bank or whatever, and they'll say, fund my railway. It's exactly what used to happen in Victorian times as well, which is why a lot of times building just would suddenly stop because the money would run out. And then until a new investor came in, building would continue to stop. But that's what it was. It was my version of an investment, and the investment paid off. You can see we're very rich. I can actually build new lines from the money that we have from the old lines, which is a very nice, comfortable place to be. Trust me. It makes life one hell of a lot easier when you don't have to worry about the money in the game. Is it a cheat? You tell me. Is it a cheat to put that investment in at the start? It just meant that you guys didn't have to sit around for ages waiting for me to get money. That's the reason I did it. Again, if you think that's cheating, then that's your opinion. But personally, I don't think it's cheating. I think it's time saving. I think it's very good time saving, and I'm pleased that I did it. And I imagine there's a lot of you out there who are also pleased that I did it. Because if it wasn't for that, then we would still be probably stuck building the first line right now, waiting to get some more money in to actually go ahead and finish it. Not ideal, as I'm sure you know. Not ideal. So once again, James, I will point you in the direction of today's episode so that you know I've answered your comment. It's not rude, is it? I'm not ignoring you. I have acknowledged your comment. It's just unfortunately 4 days after you've sent it. But that's the way it is at the moment. As you know, I've still got my bad hand, and I'm trying to, as I say, prepare for uni. So that's why I'm recording these videos so far in advance. I mean, I'm not doing it a week in advance like I used to, or even worse, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever, however many weeks in advance. I'm not doing that. But at the same time, I'm not doing it the night before like I was before. Because there were times where I just wake up and think, I really don't want to record a video today. And then it's, I have no choice because, you know, the video needs to be done and it needs to be uploaded. And it ends up being a pretty substandard video. I would like to avoid that. So in the future, I'm going to record in advance. So it does mean that your comments will be answered ahead of time. You might have to wait a couple of days to actually be able to read them. But it means I can carry on doing 5 a week, which is quite an ask, believe it or not. It's more difficult than you can imagine. As I've mentioned this so many times before, just how long it takes to make a video. So I'm not going to go into that again. But that's one video. I make 5 of these videos a week. And then every now and then I'll have a splurge of inspiration and I'll do something on Skylines or I'll do something on Minecraft. Or, you know, any of the other games that I have made videos on in the past. And then it's about getting those videos made and uploaded as well. And those ones take even longer. Because the graphics is a lot more detailed, so there's a lot more to render. This isn't as much of a problem, believe it or not. As fantastic as the graphics are here, the computer seems to handle it just fine. Obviously, I'm kidding. The graphics on this, it's one of these ones where the reason the game is so fun to play is because the graphics are quite basic. You know, there's no... it's not the graphics that makes the game. It's the gameplay that makes the game. That's what makes the game incredibly fun to play. So, personally, I don't care that the graphics are quite basic. If anyone cares that these graphics are quite basic, then you're really not in this game for the right reasons. You know, it's a game from the 90s that has been rewritten to be used now. It's not made to be console-based, extreme graphics, Game of the Year winner. That isn't this game. That is not what this game was designed for. And as I say, if that's all you're in for, then you've come to the wrong place. And I really hate that. I'm gonna go off on a tangent slightly, but as anybody, I watch a lot of YouTubers, and I get really irked by certain YouTubers who go on and on and on about, oh, I'm playing this in 4K. Why does that matter? You know, my eyes only work up to a certain definition. I'm not even convinced that most people's eyes work in 4K. So why spend all of that money on a 4K setup when, to my knowledge, YouTube doesn't support 4K? So you go on and on and on about how you're playing in 4K, and that really doesn't matter because I'm not seeing it. No one else who's watching it is seeing it. What you're basically doing is just bragging about your setup, which I don't care. I'm not sure how many other people would care. I really don't care. That bugbears me. That really does annoy me when people go on about, oh, I've got this and I've got that. It's like someone telling me they've got a Blu-ray player. I couldn't care less. You know, I'm not interested in that sort of thing. If I can see the film or if I can play the game, then I'm happy. If it's in high quality, then fine. If it's in really low quality, then obviously that would annoy me. But high quality doesn't bother me. You know, I don't wake up in cold sweats during the night because my TV's not working in 4K. That's not me. And I am saying this for a reason. No one's complained about this, by the way. It's not like I'm responding to someone saying, "Oh, you should do this in 4K." No one said that, but I don't know. There's just certain people out there who I think don't quite understand it still. It's not a competition as to who's got the best setup. My setup is very basic, but it's perfect for what I want it for, which is why I use it. If it wasn't good enough for what I want it for, then I wouldn't use it. You know, simple as that. But that has always annoyed me, the whole 4K debacle. It's fantastic that people have 4K, and 4K is good. I'm not saying that it's not good. I just don't get the big deal about having it for a YouTube video when we don't see it. I'll be interested to see what you guys think about that as well. Am I just being bitter? I don't have 4K. Am I just being bitter? Mind you, I can answer that almost immediately and say probably not, because I've never wanted 4K, because I just don't understand it. I'm being very old in that respect. You know, I have a 3D TV downstairs, and I watched the Olympics opening ceremony in 2012, and I've watched like 2 or 3 football matches in 3D, and maybe 1 or 2 films, and that's it. Apart from that, it's a fact. I think we've replaced that TV since, but apart from that, it's a TV that just sits there on the wall, and we watch it in HD. You know, it doesn't get used for what it's been bought for, and it's just a waste of money. So is it like that with 4K? Are people spending a ton of money on a 4K computer setup and don't even have a 4K monitor? But the placebo effect kicks in, and they're going on about how great the graphics look, when in actual fact they look exactly the same. Who knows? Who knows? That would be very interesting to do a survey on, though. I would actually, if a TV show did that, I would tune in and watch in just to find out the result of that. How many people are going on about how great their TV is when actually it's exactly the same as all the others? That would be quite funny. I would almost pay money to watch that. Just to see the look of shock on their faces when they find out they've got the same as everyone else. I'm a little bit bitter, but for the wrong reasons, or for the other reasons. I don't care for 4K. As I say, quality doesn't affect me. My eyesight is nowhere near as good as it used to be. So I know that it wouldn't make the world of difference to me at all. It would just be a waste of money. But people who brag about their setups, that's what annoys me. That's what I'm annoyed about. There's no point, you know. What you're almost doing is inviting people to break in and steal your stuff. Do you want that? You know, I remember reading in the paper once that someone who was on TV and was rich for doing absolutely nothing with their lives was bragging about they'd been given a new watch by some company, and then outside their house they got mugged, and they could not believe that it had happened to them. And I read it and I just thought, well, you kind of brought it on yourself, because you posted on social media that you had this really expensive watch. Anyone can see that. Of course someone's going to rob you once they know you've got that. Of course they are. So what were you expecting? You brought it on yourself. Obviously it's horrible getting robbed. I've never been mugged, I've never been robbed, and I hope it never happens to me. But when you do stupid things like that, you bring it on yourself. Doesn't mean you deserve it, but you bring it on yourself. Once again, I'm being very controversial. Let me know if you agree with me or not. I'm thoroughly interested in knowing. If there are people out there who think perhaps I'm taking it too far, then fair enough. If there's people out there who think I'm not taking it far enough, who knows? I imagine there's both sides. But let me know as well what you think about modern technology and where you think it's going. What do you think about VR? What do you think about... okay, it's only used for South Park at the moment, but what do you think about the nozzuleless Rift? Is that the future? You know, you could smell the game as well as play it. Is that where we're going at the moment? VR is doing this huge boost right now. Is that the future of gaming? You know, there are prototypes of the past where the ones I really like were the ones where, I mean, it's horror, so I'd never play it, but there are games that would read your heartbeat and read your heart rate and actually change the game according to what your heart rate was. So if it was rising, it would make the game scarier to try and shock you more, and if it was lower, it would rise it even more to try and scare you. It's very, very interesting, that kind of thing. A game that adapts to the player. That's something that has never really been done before. There's things that are procedurally generated, but that's not the same as adapting to the player. So, you know, E3 is a very good place to go. EGX is another good place to go, and PAX. All these places to see what's coming out in the gaming world. Sometimes the best thing to do is just to sit tight and wait for press releases. Some companies don't show off their stuff at conventions. You know, there's a lot of people who were missing from E3 this year. There was a lot of trailers that were missing from E3 this year, to my knowledge, that I read about. And there could be reasons behind that, you know. Sometimes conventions aren't the best place. You want to release it in a bit more secrecy. If you do it at a convention, people film the trailer, and the next thing you know, it's all over the internet, and you might not want that. But yeah, what is the future of gaming? This is probably the wrong video to be asking that question, because you're not here for gaming necessarily. You're here for transport building, but it's part of it. You know, how long before you get to play a game like this in VR and you'll set a train on its route? Something like Train Simulator. Imagine that if you played that in VR. That'd be so cool. That'd be awesome if you could play Train Sim in VR. I would be right behind that idea. But is that the future of gaming? Or is it going to die a death like some of the other forms of media have in the past? Either rightly or wrongly. Who knows? But I'm very interested in your opinion. I really want to build a station here, but am I too far out of town? I'm not, but only just not. Which isn't even a sentence. And for once, I'm actually going to leave the name Valley in this this station, because it is technically in a valley. It's in a cutting. And this episode is currently 56 minutes long. I really do try, honestly, and keep them under an hour. And yet every time I consciously try and do it, I end up getting further and further away from that target. That's just me. I am a very bad timekeeper. Anyone who has asked me to turn up somewhere on time can tell you that. I am a very bad timekeeper. I'm always late to things. Apart from lectures. I always seem to be alright with lectures. Everything else, I'm late as anything. So late. Always late. Once again, we've got two stations fairly close together, so I'm going to move this station to this side of the signal. Forgot my words then. That's not good. Right, benches, and then bop, bop. And again, I'm going to leave the name hotel in this, because it's unusual and it's quirky. And if you look at the DLR is a very good example of quirky station names and unusual station names, because there's so many of them. And I mean this literally. The DLR has hundreds of stations with strange names. Hundreds is an exaggeration, but there are a lot of strange named stations. For example, Mudchute. It's actually named after a nearby place, but Mudchute. Would you want to go to a station called Mudchute? I'd stay on the train if it was me. I've actually been there and it's quite a nice area, but you wouldn't get that from the name, would you? You know, it's actually built on the site of a park, or near a park. I think it's near a park actually, rather than on the site of. And it is, as I say, it's quite a nice area. It's down near Greenwich Way. But the word Mudchute, and then there's another one called Cyprus. As if you suddenly hit the med. You know, 1 minute you're in the middle of London, the next minute you're on the Mediterranean coast. Once again, not actually in Cyprus. It's named after a local dock, I believe. A lot of the DLR stations are actually named after the docks. As you might have guessed, it's the Docklands Light Railway. And the reason... So there's East India is one of them. It's one of the stations. And Heron Keys is another one. And loads of stations like that. And East India is one where the East India Company used to operate from. And the East India Company, funnily enough, used to go between India and lots of different countries, but the UK was one of them. And that was their dock, so it's the East India dock. And that's where the name came from. Other ones, I've been researching. Once again, I do lots of research. Might not seem it because I forget most things before I start talking, but I've done lots of research into DLR stations, and you've got ones like West India Docks, you know, West India Quay, Limehouse, West Ferry. My favourite one is Abbey Road. For those of you who are aware of the Beatles, and if you're not aware of the Beatles, then what are you aware of? You know, are you alive or anything like that? But Abbey Road, you know, famous album, famous studio. Abbey Road is not near Abbey Road DLR station. Abbey Road, the studios, is actually near St John's Wood, which is a Jubilee line station. Abbey Road DLR station is down in East London, which is absolutely nowhere near St John's Wood, which is sort of northwest-ish, give or take. I'm just trying to find a depot site whilst I'm talking, so you'll have to bear with me again. Might end up building it outside here actually, if I do some work here. So that's a good example. Abbey Wood is a very good example. Some more good examples of strange named stations. Star Lane, Royal Victoria Custom House for XL. That kind of speaks for itself. It used to be just called Custom House. I guess not many people knew how to get to XL because it's not that clearly stated, so the station name would have been changed for that purpose. But before that, in fact, I've been to XL on the DLR, and we had to remember to get off at Custom House. And once again, the DLR, they love putting their stations close together. There are 3 stations, maybe even 4 now, that serve XL. That is the kind of line the DLR is. There's one before the extension to XL. I know XL's been extended now, so it's probably not the same anymore. But before the extension, there were. I just realised I've put this in completely the wrong spot. Let's focus on building actually, whilst I'm messing around with this. Right. Before XL was extended, there were 3 stations that served it. I think there might be 4 now, but I haven't been to XL in years, so I'm not 100% sure. But there was one at the east end, one at the west end, and one roughly in the middle. Custom House is at the west end. Prince Regent and Royal Albert are the other 2. And they are... Actually, Royal Victoria, I think, is the one at the west end. I think Custom House is sort of... It's just outside the doors, but it's also towards the middle more as well. And then obviously you've got the 3rd station, which is on the thing. Sorry, I'm distracting myself again. The point I was making with all of this is there are weird named stations on the DLR route. So why not have weird named stations on our route? Might as well, you know. What harm could it do? I'm not going to build all of this line right now. This is going to be saved for next week. But I'm going to build up to here. Actually, I am looking at Watbourne Metro Depot. And I am thinking very carefully about doing this. Wait for this train to get out of the way. And I think you can see where I'm going with this. Let's make Watbourne Metro Depot bigger. And let's actually have this as the depot for this line. So we'll have you connect there. We'll get rid of this road. Why not? We'll have all of this come through here like this. This is going to be a dead end. The actual line itself is going to come up and around this way. But this is going to be so we can get trains in and out of the route as a whole, pretty much. What are these? These are metal sheds. So 4x4, like that. 1, 2, 1, 2. Right, so other ones. Cyprus, Galleons Reach. I'm just literally reading these off a route list. Did I say West India? Yeah, so West India, East India. Cutty Sark. I mean, and that's a strange name, but it is the name of the boat. That, for those of you who aren't aware, the Cutty Sark is a clipper ship. I think it's a tea clipper, I think it was called, which used to literally do that. It used to sail around the world quite fast as well. The Cutty Sark, I believe, at one point it was the fastest ship in the world. But it was a trader's ship, so it would go around collecting all sorts of tradable commodities and selling them here and there and everywhere. And not long ago, the Cutty Sark is preserved down in Greenwich, but not long ago they were doing a very expensive renovation on the Cutty Sark, and it burnt to a crisp. But they have restored it, which is fantastic news, and it's you can go visit it. It's in London. It's near Greenwich. Greenwich is a good place to visit anyway because of the Maritime Museum and the Greenwich Meridian. It's always a cool place to go see. I've been there once. Not as often as I'd like. Again, I really would like to go back there. And I know someone who nearly went to the University of Greenwich, which would have been a great excuse to actually go and see it. But that didn't happen in the end. So I like museums on a whole. So I'd like to go back there one day. Anyway, let's get some trains on here. Well, let's get a train on here. Now, the obvious choice would be to go down and choose one of our electric vehicles. But I kind of want to avoid that. One of the requests was to use the networker with its different liveries. I think this was the networker that was talked about. Because this has only got 2 liveries, and I don't really like either of them. The Network Southeast one is nicer, but the First Capital Connect one is very messy. Someone mentioned about using a Class 444, I think it was, to replace the semi-fast service on the other diesel line. I'll have to look into that, because I'm not 100% sure again what that was meant, or what was meant by that. But down here somewhere, here we go, we've got loads more electric trains and loads more other trains. We've got this one, the Velaro, which is an electric multiple unit. Goes 199 miles per hour. The only problem is it's too long. The Velaro does ring a bell, but I can't remember what it is. That's the 374. Oh, that's the new Eurostar. I do know what that is. That's the new Eurostar. We've got these diesels here, the 253, the 254, the 255. Got the Atalantes, got the Desiros. These are all diesels. And again, this is way too short. The Javelin. It's a nice train, but it's too fast. And I don't really want to just turn down its speed, because that's just a waste of a good train then. Southwestern, these are all diesel trains. So I might end up with... No, not you. You are totally wrong for the job. I might end up going for something like one of these. Oh, not you. Not you. Where are the full set ones? I'm going to say this is part of our metro network, really. So we want high capacity as well as good speed. So these ones, as you know, these ones go 100 miles an hour, and they hold a lot of people. If I go down one to the... Yeah, if I grab this, combine them together into a 4-tile length train, that's pretty cool. I like that idea. I do like that idea. Hopefully we don't go too overboard with it in the end. But I do like that idea. The other thing I need to do here is put a waypoint here. It was King, wasn't it? He was asking me about waypoints. You get your wish. I do add more waypoints. Again, though, I would like that clarified. Why is it you want more waypoints? Is it just to make routing easier? Or is it you just like seeing waypoints? What exactly is it you like about the waypoints? Let's say I use them where appropriate and nowhere else. Because they're a pain to have to put in when you've got loads of lines next to each other. You've got to make sure that they're not connected at all. And then you've got to make sure the train runs through them, and it's a massive inconvenience. So there are times where I just don't want to do it. It's as simple as that. I just don't want to do it, and you can't make me. But there are also times where just it's not needed, so I don't do it. If I have to do it, then I will do it. But if I don't have to do it, then I won't. It's literally as simple as that. Right. That also needs to go via through. Okay. Darnbury, yep. And then over here to Friddinghall. Over the river to Plondingston. This will all look nicer as well once it's all built up. So you've got Plondingston here, and then you've got Plondingston Hotel. I'm going to change this to Sletbridge Hotel, because it's right outside Sletbridge. It's not actually near. It's not actually near Plondingston at all. Right, so you're going to stop here twice. And then you're going to stop here twice. Now, the other thing that's sort of on my mind at the moment is speed limits. Do I let this go the full 100, or do I make it go slower? I'm tempted to do 60. 60 is quite a good speed for a line like this. 50 was my original one, but I think 50 is a little bit too slow. But I do like the idea of 60. 60 works quite nicely for me. But again, let me know. For now I'm going to do 60, but if you think that's too slow or too fast, let me know. And I'll think about changing it. But as I say, this is all part of the Gardcity project. We have a lot of stuff going on around Gardcity right now, but it's all for the benefit of the map as a whole. Because now, next week, we already know that we're going to be doing phase 2 of this, out to Dartbourne, and then we're going to be doing the western main lines coming out of St Michael, including the very straight Great Western main line, which I might as well just call it that now, because I'm going to keep calling it that whether it's its name or not, so I might as well just actively call it that now, and then there's no confusion. I mean, that one I'm very much looking forward to building, because it should be quite simple. You know, just build a straight line, and occasionally add a station. Put some crossovers and some interchanges, and apart from that, jobs are good. Alright, this Henston interchange, I'm going to put a bus terminal here as well to serve some of the other local towns, which is why I decided to put a cover on it as well, which I think looks quite cool. I cannot call both of these stations by the same name. I wish it would come up and say that you can't do that. Plaidhatton West. That's again, it doesn't affect the game, it's just an irritation of mine. I'll probably raise this up in the future as well, just to separate it a bit more. But there we go, Fort Hampton, done. Now, here I'm going to do 300 for each of these stops. Except for right down here, you are going to be 30. And you are going to be... I nearly did 3,000, but I think 1,300 is probably going to be better. 3,000 is a long time to wait. We wouldn't be earning any money from that either. 60 mph through all of them. Autofill U. Now, as I say, this is part of the Metro 9. Excuse me, had a sneeze then. And again, excuse me. Right, this is part of the Metro network, so I'm actually going to call this M6. Although in the future I think the M's will be reclassified anyway. But GSMI, GSP/MI to Fort Hampton. And you are made up of 8 units, 8 cars. Like so. Let's drag train down into M6. We'll then drag M6 into Metro. We'll clone this a load of times. 2, 3. Oh, hello. Let's not. Let's have a look at the liveries actually, because I might be able to come up with a different livery. So you've got the Olympic livery, which looks awful. I'm sure in real life it looks fantastic, but on here it looks awful. You've got that one, which is not a bad candidate. You've got the yellow-blue, which is the one we're more used to. And then you've got the construction year, and then you've got the year dependent. So the construction year is probably just the same as the year dependent. So this one, it will just change as time goes by. I like this one. I like that one. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. It's probably a good number to start with. Because eventually this service is going to be extended right the way through to Dartbourne, and then we'll have separate trains that terminate at each end, that terminate at GSM I and the other side. But we're going to start this train, and I'm going to start 2 more trains behind it, just to get them going. This is all set up and ready to go. And that's about it for today's episode, guys. So it's also the end of the week as well. Can you believe it? It's a long week. Obviously for me, this end of the week isn't the end of the week, it's the start of the week, because I'm recording this on... Technically now it's Tuesday morning, it's just coming up to 1 AM in the morning on Tuesday. But yeah, I mean, my week's just beginning, whereas in actuality, by the time this video goes live, the week will be ending. But gloss over that. I'm going to do the end of video stuff now. So thank you very much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, be sure to click the subscribe button. If you have already subscribed to my channel, thank you guys for your continued support. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and of course if you're enjoying the series, drop some comments down below for ideas for future episodes, and until next time, I will see you soon.